So September 10th, historically, not the exact date, but around or about September the 10th is the historical peak season of the hurricane season in the Atlantic Basin. So, and it's living up to its name this year because look at all the activity we have on the map. We have 6 areas to discuss. We have one near the Carolina coast that doesn't look very impressive. So nothing of major concern for the coastal United States right now, but a couple of areas being watched nearby, and then waves off of Africa as we continue to watch all of those. So we'll go ahead and we'll just look at disturbance number 1 near the Carolina coast has a 20% chance to develop. It really looks like it, if it were to make a last minute run over the next couple of days, maybe towards a tropical depression towards the coast, but it will be heading towards an area of baroclinic environment. What that means is that cold fronts are going to be dropping across the U.S. We start to see more traffic this time of the year across the eastern half of the United States with cold fronts as fall starts to move in. So that's a great help to sort of steer some of these systems away from the coastline as they approach. But timing is everything, and we've seen weird things happen in September, and it is 2020. The other disturbance we're looking at is just east of the Bahamas. It's expected to go through the Bahamas, through southern Florida, and eventually over into the Gulf of Mexico, where this could be a conducive environment with low upper shear, warm waters. And so we'll be watching this. Only 20% next 5 days, but we'll wait and watch and see what happens if this wave holds together. The other one coming off of Africa, 20% chance. This one's going to probably be ingested by a lot of Saharan dust, or be ingesting a lot of Saharan dust to maybe rip that storm apart. But this one down here, now, when we see Cape Verde Seas and we see where the latitude of these waves coming off of the coast of Africa are a little bit higher up, this one's a little bit lower down. And this is one we got to watch. We got to watch these waves that are at the lower latitudes because they tend to escape the northern pole. If we see Paulette and Rene are going to be remaining out to sea. In fact, if we look at Paulette now, I see the track takes it north to northwest and then eventually over towards Bermuda by Monday. This track may come across Bermuda towards the U.S. and then steer away. I do think that the track will take it eventually away and out to sea. So if I can get my draw tool to work, I'm not sure if I can or not. Yep. So eventually this will hook out to sea as the cold fronts zip across the U.S. and out over the ocean. So that's pretty much what we're expecting with Paulette. Now, if we go back to Rene, this one is expected to be a fish storm as well, maybe even re-strengthening back into a hurricane Saturday morning before heading off to the north, eventually north, and then eventually off well to the north to the graveyard, the hurricane graveyard. So if we take a quick look at the tropical cyclone heat potential, and what we're looking for here is the darker colors, or the orangey colors, right? Some of the lighter up into the darker orange and reds. And we usually look at about 90 kilojoules for this. And these are the areas that are identified where the water is the warmest. Not only the warmest, but the depth of the water is the warmest as well for fueling. So it has deep water, warm fueling for the systems at a lower level. That way, it's not like it's just going over and stirring the top. You get cool water upwelling. You actually have depth of warm water to feed the storm. So these are the areas identified right now that have this potential. And so here's the Saharan air layer, and I'll go ahead and run this forward for the next, I think it's about 10, 14 days. And we can see that the Saharan air layer, this is dust coming off the Sahara Desert and being suspended at the mid-levels. And we always look for these plumes to come out, this heavy activity that comes off the coast of Africa that suppresses storms. And what we're seeing here is a relaxing of the SAL, or the Saharan air layer, to where we're going to start to see a lot more waves actually get a better chance of forming off the coast of Africa, because we don't see this large-scale plume. This is the only mild to modest right here, not even that moderate. So we're going to see a lot more activity. We'll take a quick look at Paulette on satellite. It looks like there's a lot of upper shear going on with the storm from southwest to the northeast, and you can see the cloud tops being blown off to the north and northeast of the system. Projection of the storm eventually for the GFS ensembles brings us up and away from the coast out to the hurricane graveyard. Let's take a look at Rene and the IR loop for Rene. And this one actually looks a little bit healthier. The convection is wrapped around the core. We do see a nice tight circulation. This actually has potential to grow back into a hurricane, but eventually the track of the system will take it well out to sea. I think the GFS ensembles are a little bit confused on this track. We're not really sure. We think that frontal activity out by days 5 and 6 will probably start to pull this storm out to sea. So we'll be watching this one very closely. Take a look at 94L next to or just off the Carolina coast. And here's what this one looks like. Now you can barely see this blob of convection, and which is right about here. This is the area we're watching. So not very organized. We do see an explosion of convection here at nighttime hours. This is expected to generally move off to the northwest towards the Carolina coast, somewhere between Cape Lookout and possibly Charleston. This area right here has been identified in the spaghetti models. The spaghetti model is a little bit tighter, but then again, we don't really have a really tight closed area of circulation that we can call low pressure. It really is just disorganized. We're waiting to watch to see what happens. But either way, if we look at the, whoop, let me move that out of the way. I can get the draw tool to move. There we go. And we look at GFS ensembles here. It looks like it generally moves towards the coast in time. It's a tough call here on exactly where it's going to land because we don't have a low. We don't really like to show spaghetti without a meatball per se, but either way, we're just watching. We do like to look at the upper shear. This looks kind of crazy, like a crazy map, but just know the areas in red are where upper shear are occurring. So out here off of Africa, we do see a high upper shear environment right now, so that should be protecting us. But we have to watch that low track, the one that's coming off of Africa now. This one has a 90% chance. And so this is going to be the one to watch right here, James. I think the GFS models really get bullish with this one and bring it further over towards the Bahamas and the Caribbean by the September the 18th. So the GFS is this way. The Euro is a little bit higher up and actually takes this one a little bit more to the northwest. So right now, I'm just kind of recap it, James. We're just watching a lot of areas in the Atlantic right now. I really think that everything merits watching. We're in the peak of the hurricane season, and the waters are still very warm. And so that's where we are right now in the tropics. Back to you.
Shay, I appreciate that, and you've got me hungry ever since you said spaghetti and meatballs.
Yeah, add some Parmesan, right? We don't want anything on the coast, though.
No, but thank you very much for that update. We'll keep a close eye on it. Like Shay said, we're in the peak of the hurricane season right here in mid-September, and you have to stay prepared and stay weather aware. And I don't know about you all at home, or I don't know about you, Shay, but because of the pandemic that we're in, my storm supply closet has been bulked up for several months now. So hopefully folks are in a good spot if they find themselves having to seek shelter at home now because of weather at any point before this hurricane season wraps.
Yep, you're absolutely right. Have your hurricane kits double checked. Now is a great time to go to the store. There's no lines. You don't want to have to wait in lines when you wait till last minute and you have a storm at your door. I don't think 94L is going to be that much of a concern for the Carolinas. So if folks are asking about it, hey, what's going on with this tropical system, I wouldn't worry about it. Just a rainmaker with a little bump and swell may cause some dangerous rip currents along the coast. We'll be looking for that in the forecast by this weekend. But have your hurricane evacuation plan ready, have your COVID plan ready for safety purposes. However you want to get your plan ready, just make sure you have it ready to execute. Write your list down now when you're clear-minded and not when you're in panic mode if something big is happening. That's what I always tell people for best advice.